Hello and welcome to another episode of Inter Club India podcast where we talk everything Inter, the previews, reviews, and transfer market and everything in between. Another bad week, another drop points. Manish, what do you think is happening? Like against Madrid, we drop points and then again against Atlanta. Do you think this is going to be our season or how do we change it?
So, hi, thank you, Gautam, for that question. Well, I would say it's same shit every season. It's like nothing new. Every time it has been the same thing. This time, the really funny part is it came quite earlier. Normally, after December or January, we start going through the same cycle. But hopefully, this time the cycle ends early, and we get back to a groove immediately. So yeah, the team looks completely lost. No identity. We are creating chances. We are missing chances. It's a lot of chaos going on. People are saying to sack Conte. People are saying to remove Ericsson. People are saying remove Lautaro. So it's like altogether the media circus has started. When Inter starts to drop points, it's very common. Italian media generally hates us. So pretty much, I think this time, I just feel like Christmas is early this time because normally during Christmas, you remember the interbells. Sorry. Yeah, that what after that season has been a downfall. So pretty much that I feel like Christmas is early. So yeah, so Gotham, that's what's happening in the club right now.
Parmeshwar, do you think the international break will change our fortunes or will it be the same old thing after this? Because Conte is stubborn. He won't change his formation and Gagliardini will always be his top player, better than Lautaro even, the starting chances. So do you think this break is going to help us or it's the same old thing again?
So yeah, I was actually thinking about this, the international break. After we faced Atalanta, there was this whole situation where the health authority of Milan, said that players from six clubs, cannot send their players for international duty, and one of those clubs was Inter. So there was this whole. As soon as that news broke out, I was actually in a way happy, of course, with selfish interest, having selfish interest, of course, related to Inter, that, none of our players have to go. So I thought this period would be that of, players rejuvenating within the club, you just doing their basic training, staying at home or whatever, but not being with the national teams. But unfortunately, that ruling changed and the majority of our players have gone for the international break. I think we are the club who has sent the most number of players for the international break. I think that's 16 or something, if I'm not wrong. And yeah, I don't know. See, the thing is, you could argue from both sides, right? You could say that had they probably just continued staying at the club, those things could have lingered over their mind, the draws, the drop points, because the performance has been good. But in a lot of, like, we've dominated most of the teams we've played, but that one error has always cost us in the end, be it from the manager's side or from the player's side. With that being said, at the same time, them going and playing for their country could also help them freshen up in general. Like, I'll just take Ericsson as an example. The guy doesn't get to play here, but when he goes to play for Denmark, he's literally playing so well. The last international break, he was amazing. This yesterday when he played, he just played 45 minutes because it was a friendly. So it could help a lot of players, I feel. Maybe it helps a few of the Italian players because this time Mancini has literally called up like 41 players to rotate the squad, So even Gagliardini has been called up. D'Ambrosio gets called up and Bastoni has been promoted to the senior team. So maybe, I think Bastoni played yesterday, if I'm not wrong. I was watching some other game, but yeah, I think he played well. He had a good game. So maybe it helps their confidence, it takes their mind off Inter for a bit, just gives them that refreshing thought that they're playing for their country and maybe they come back stronger. But yeah, I personally feel that if let's say the authorities had kept our players back and had everyone stayed together, it would have just been better overall because then we don't risk any potential COVID cases and any potential injuries. Because I was reading yesterday, Lautaro, I think before the Atalanta game, I don't know if you saw, he had some thigh strain, Lautaro Martinez. He still ended up playing the full 90, not the the full 90, yeah. And but yesterday, before the game, in his training session with Argentina, he had the same problem. So again, that's something we continue risking. So I just feel that had they stayed back, it would have been better.
Manish, Palm brought a good issue of Ericsson not playing here. And now there are rumors of him leaving and re-signing with Tottenham and Dele Alli coming to us. Or there's one more rumor of Isco being swapped for Eriksen. Do you think it's going to help us in any way, or it's going to be the same situation as Eriksen? Like, we have just wasted him.
Yeah, see, the thing with Eriksen is it's a very confused position. Eriksen is confused, Conte is confused, the fans are confused, everyone's in confused state. So I don't think this marriage was successful between Eriksen and Inter. Obviously, he's a very technically gifted player, but he's not suited to the formation. So there's no point keeping him on the bench, and his market value will keep decreasing over time. So when the time is right, I think we have to sell him off, because from what we have seen so far, his performance, his attitude, his body language, and how well he sits in the Conte's formation, it doesn't seem to be a win for anyone. So I think we should move on. We should close the chapter of Eriksen, get a good deal for Isco. A swap would be awesome. Dele Alli, again, it's English players. They don't perform well when they go in European teams, unless there are a few exceptions like Jordan Sancho and stuff. But other than that, I would suggest, if we're getting rid of Eriksen at a higher rate, yes, we must go ahead with it, because there's absolutely no point putting an upset player, demotivated player in the team. It'll affect the players around them, and it's no point. So either Conte has to change his position to. I heard some people say, like, if he can play a register, he can play a pillow position. That would completely change his style and bring out this passing ability more. If Conte is willing to try that, yes, I would say give him another chance. But if Conte is persistent to stick to the 3-4-1-2 formation, and because so far I don't see it, it's not clicking. The tactics and him are not matching at all.
And the number of points have already dropped this season. Yeah, it's too early and we can't recover. But honestly speaking, do you think we have any chance of competing for the title, or do we just settle for second place again?
Yeah, coming to that, yeah, I mean, I'll still stick with the point that I still feel it's a bit too early in the season, because now, yes, Milan are still in great form. They've not lost a game, but they have shown some vulnerabilities, right? They have shown that managing Europa League and the Serie A at the same time isn't easy. They have dropped points to Roma and Hellas Verona. So, yes, there is still a 5-point gap, but it's still manageable. Now, if you ask me personally, if a team like Juventus themselves are stumbling, and they are still, at the end of the day, you can't count them out. Like, I know they have new players, they have an inexperienced coach, but it's Juventus at the end of the day, right? There are some of those core players like Chiellini, although he's not still that great as he was, but they have Ronaldo at the end of the day. They have, I know Dybala isn't fitting in, but Dybala can click at any point of the season. You never know, right? So you don't count them out. So I still feel that we personally, at the same time, have quality players. We really do. But it's just that it's about finding the right balance. Now, if you watch Conte's press conferences, he speaks about how we are working to get to the right phase in terms of being tactically prepared. Yes, you could argue that why, if he wanted to maybe be prepared in the first place, why did he alter our approach and try to be more like Atalanta, more goal scoring oriented and concede freely. But if he personally feels we are getting there, then I'm like, I don't want to question him so soon. I know people have been calling for his head. They've been very vocal. They already want him out and all. But I mean, again, you can't make a managerial change at this point, right? It's like starting from scratch. And I understand that it's frustrating. It's really frustrating. That Atalanta game, we had it. Like, it was, both teams were so cautious, not overly attacking, trying to sit back and absorb pressure. And we did a really good job. Even though Hakimi didn't start, Darmian, we were doing a really fine job. And that one lapse wherein, we let them attack through the middle, because the rest of the game we had completely cancelled them out from the middle. They were only going wide. And then Handanovic, I don't know if he could have saved that. He goes to the right, and then in the end moment he goes to the left. So it was too late for him to save it. So it's about these lapses. Now Conte needs to work on this. I guess he needs to finally understand that 3-5-2 is, I think, the way to go, because in the last few games he's been trying that. Against Atalanta it was 3-5-2. Against Real Madrid, against Borussia Mönchengladbach, it was 3-5-2. So also at the same time, I would like to point out that we'll be playing a friendly tomorrow against Monza, Serie B side Monza. I feel this is something we need more of during the international breaks, because when you look at players like Nangolan, whom he feels are not physically fit up to the level he wants them to be, then these friendlies can come in handy, because then in the end, then he doesn't end up using them during competitive games. Like there was no sign of Nangolan in like against Atalanta at all. Like Ericsson. I mean, even though Ericsson is physically fit, but Nangolan, there was no sign of him. So, I think we should keep on having these small friendlies, maybe one or two if possible during the international break. It's going to help players like Nangolan. And unfortunately for Ericsson, I just wanted to add to what Manish said. There have been rumors now of us being linked with Malinowski. I don't know how you guys feel about him. Like, he's a really good player, but he was just bought by Atalanta in last July. So I really don't think if they'll be willing to let him go. That's one thing. And then, yes, there's a dilemma. Should we cash in on Ericsson now when his value is high? But when you look at it as a fan, has Conte really done enough? Like, yes, we know he fielded Ericsson in a few games, but what did he really give him that proper run of games? Like at times players need like 4 or 5 games in a stretch. He never got that. Ericsson never got that. He was like max 2 games and then subbed out. And then he's not played at all, even as a sub in the last 2 games. So can you really blame the guy? Also lastly, to cap it off, I would want to bring up what Cassano said recently. He said, Ericsson should rather be played in a much deeper role, as to what Manish said, as a regista. He rather wanted Ericsson as a defensive midfield, which is, I know, a bit dodgy. But along similar lines, I would say that I would rather put Brozovic as a defensive midfielder, because he has that tendency to win ball backs at times, or Vidal maybe, and maybe play like something like a 3-1-4-2, maybe have that anchor in front of the defense, and then let Ericsson play as a regista in front, of the anchor. Why not try that? But again, I'm like trying to contradict myself, because we all know Conte doesn't make those changes. So yeah, I mean, I feel like I personally still feel we should give Ericsson more time. But again, if it's not working out, then again there have been rumors linking us with Rodrigo De Paul. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but he is really that Conte type of player, and he's the one who carries the entire of Udinese, like always saves them from relegation. So I just would like to know your thoughts, if you would actually do this. If in January, let's say you get rid of Ericsson, it leaves you with surplus cash, and you can actually get Rodrigo De Paul for cheaper, and then reinforce something like a left wing back and striker as well. How would you go about it?
I don't think we would be selling Ericsson. I think it would be a swap, regardless of which team it is. So I don't think we'll have enough cash to go for anyone else. It would be a direct swap. Manish, so as Palm said, Conte uses the same thing, match in, match out, same players, same tactics, expecting different results. It's not like the chances haven't been created. Chances are created. It's the finishing that's lacking. Do we need a psychologist in the team? Because looks like Conte is not able to handle the psychological part of the player's performance. And also, is the depth being utilized? Or is it the same players with same tactics all over again?
Correct. And Gotham, if you remember, I'm just taking a flashback, all right? During Mourinho's time, the first season when under Mourinho, we had a lot of players. We had a hell load of players. We had like around 5 or 6 strikers, I believe, all superstars, Crespo, Cruz, and everybody. So what Mourinho said, see, having a large squad doesn't mean it's good for the team, because you know what? You want 22 or 24 max, very good players, and they all should feel part of the project. So in the first season, we had a very small team. So Conte was able to bring the best about each and every one. Now, all of a sudden, like you said, we got surplus of players. We have excess of midfielders. We have a lot of talented players we have right now. But the thing is, not everyone feels part of the project. Some people feel left out. Motivation is really important at this stage. So I think we should cut out the excess fat wherever required. We need positions like we need a left wing back, a proper one. We need a wise Lukaku. Those are the areas where we need to focus rather than having too many, like a central midfielders. We have hell loads of them right now. So obviously players like Nainggolan will never get minutes on the pitch. Ericsson will get frustrated. So having a huge squad doesn't mean it's good at this point, because we are, compared to last season, we are struggling right now. And talking about the motivational front, yes, we are demotivated at this point. So we should have the right players in each position and pretty much trim the fat out. I would say that, Gotham. So bringing to what Parmeshwar said about Malinowski and those type players, Just want to add that, Parmeshwar, see, we, again, getting players, Marotta has a different type of vision. He wants to bring players which are useful, which he believes. Conte has a complete different mindset. So no matter which talented player we bring at this point, it has to fit in a system. So right now, the board and the management board should agree, okay, this is our formation going forward, and we need to fill these players, and only then sign. So from the list which you mentioned, Rodrigo De Paul, only he seems like, he's like a versatile player. He can play anywhere. He can play midfield. He can play in the wings, anywhere. So I would say only he would suit our formation at this point. And getting rid of Ericsson, see, I'm not against Ericsson. I like the guy very much. I was one of the happiest guys when we signed Ericsson. But the fact is, he doesn't seem to fit our formation. We gave him a couple of chances, but the body language and a Conte type player, he demands a person like Barella who runs, who has a lot of energy, like a dynamic player. Ericsson is not that. Ericsson is more like, what do you say for it? More like a Pirlo type player, who can just do one touch, short passes and stuff. So right now, I would think best suggestion would be to swap Ericsson for Isco or some person equally as valuable as him.
Yeah, and as Manish said, Marotta has a different vision and Conte has a different vision. And this was known even before we signed Conte as a manager. We knew that there will be differences between the board and the manager. And right now, do you think that is affecting us? Do you think they should just compromise because they knew what they were getting with Conte? Just give him what he wants. But the thing is, like, even after giving him what he wants and agreeing to whatever he says, we are still struggling in the second year.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point you brought up, that it's not that we didn't give him what he asked for, because I'll give one example. Valentino Lazaro, that was a proper Conte request. Like, his agent has clarified that, Lazaro has clarified it, Conte himself said it briefly once. That was someone he asked for. And what was surprising about the transfer is that, I know initially when Lazaro came in, he got injured, he needed a month or two to recover. And since then he couldn't adapt, but then we didn't give him enough games as well, and then he was loaned out per Conte. So it's not that, we aren't giving him what he wants. We've given him Barella. That's the best thing we could have given, the best player we could have given him. We gave him Sensi. Unfortunately, injury prone, we gave him Lukaku, and how much tantrums he threw over that. He himself had said in his that whole rant that he, had to go through a lot to get Lukaku to enter. So the club is doing everything he's asked for. So I personally feel that, I know Conte is a man who doesn't adapt, who's very stubborn in every aspect of management as a whole. But if it's just coming back to what Manish said about Conte and Marotta having different ideas, it's like, if the management has one or two different ideas, as a coach, he needs to try and understand where Marotta is coming from, right? Because see, he has seen it, he's done it all, he's been there before. Marotta with Conte at Juventus had built that team from scratch, So it's like, so going back to the Kumbula thing, at least, if not Tonali, okay, fine. At least Kumbula, it's like, if Marotta wanted Kumbula, why not just, take him instead of Kolarov? Because Kumbula can play anywhere across the at a three-man defense, right? He's versatile with both feet. He would have definitely been more hungrier and more proactive than Kolarov, I feel. And I know, and it's like you get another defender to cover all spaces, so you have to play less of D'Ambrosio. That's issues solved right there. So it's like, yes, after that meeting which happened, I'm pretty sure, now the club and Conte are much more on the same page, I feel, after that whole fiasco. But I fear that this is going to lead down to a path where we are just going to sign more, experienced players, players who are close to regressing even more. Like, again, we have been linked with Emerson Palmieri once more at left wing back. And I have a feeling if the funds permit, or if something happens, it might actually happen in January. That's my only worry with this. Like, the management has made that small compromise, I feel, that they just want to keep Conte happy. They want to avoid his rants and digs. So they're just gonna, agree to give him whatever he wants. Of course, with keeping realistic demands in mind. So I have a feeling we are going to get some players, that will raise eyebrows, that we are not going to be satisfied about. And they're going to be very short-term signings, I have a feeling. Like, because if we had to wrap up Kumbula back then, we could have wrapped it up easily, I feel. I know there was a financial thing going on. But I think if Beppe Marotta, of all people, it doesn't just it doesn't digest with me that Beppe Marotta of all people can't get Kumbula deal over the line. Like Roma signed him for a 2-year loan plus obligation. Come on, and they had a management crisis going on. So
See, so
I don't buy the
just to stop you there, what happened
Yeah.
is Ericsson was pretty much Marotta's signing, and
Yeah.
Conte didn't actually want him. So
Hmm.
after the season ended, after Europa League, when we lost, I think we had a big board meeting. So Conte has clearly told, you know what,
Yeah.
back me and my plan.
Yeah.
So don't sign players which I don't want and create unnecessary issues. So I think they had, like Gautam said, they had
Yeah.
a big meeting and they all came to the same page. Okay, for this season, let we go with Conte's vision. If Conte has to sign a 35-year-old, let's sign 35-year-old. And let's see
Yeah.
how it takes us, where it takes us. And then maybe in the next year, end of second year, we can decide where do we stand and what do we do. I feel that was pretty much has happened, the situation. That's why we
Yeah. I
didn't go
mean,
for Kumbula and stuff.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I pointed out that as well. It's just that, I feel as a coach, he needs to listen to, or at least he needs to adapt to certain demands because, come on, I think Kumbula would have been much more solid than Kolarov,
Exactly.
even though
See,
he's,
what Conte likes is like ball playing center halves. He
yeah,
likes like a
exactly.
guy like Bastoni can play with the ball, push forward.
Yeah.
Kolarov can come in the left side, push forward. That's what he
Mm.
likes, and that's what Conte's vision is. But
Mm.
pretty much he didn't see that in Kumbula. Obviously, I know Kumbula have been a better fit, but seeing
Yeah.
Conte's vision, they don't match. So
But
that's
even
Yeah,
with
unfortunately.
now.
even with a ball playing centre back, you have Skriniar, and he doesn't play him as well. And
No, the
Skriniar goes
Skriniar is
front.
more like he likes a person like Kolarov, for example. You can just come to the left side. He can overlap
Yeah.
with the left wing back and give a cross, like
Yeah.
Darmian, that player. So he
Yeah.
likes a combination of Darmian and D'Ambrosio. The right wing back and right center back. They both can exchange position, and then he can confuse the oppositions. That Conte wants to bring that on the left side too. That's why he thought Kolarov and the left wing back can combine. So Skriniar, I don't think can combine that well. Skriniar is a proper traditional center back, but it's not very good in whipping balls and crosses in.
Yeah. So with all these things, and we're not just in Serie A, we have Champions League as well for now. Doesn't know. I mean, I don't know how long we'll be there, considering the results. And like last match against Madrid,
Mm.
before the match, I was very skeptical. I was like, okay, as long as we don't get thrashed, I'm happy. But looking at the performance, they were there for the taking. They weren't that great. And I fully expect us to beat them at San Siro if we can finish well. Do you think like we give too much respect to Madrid, or we should have just attacked more and more?
That's an interesting thing. I felt, we both teams, in fact, just to begin with us, I think the balance was there. I don't think we showed them way too much respect. It came down to errors because if you notice in the first half as well, there were too many mispasses made by both the teams, especially in midfield. There was Barella giving the ball away at times. Bastoni made those runs and just passed it randomly to a Madrid player. There was just too many individual errors, I feel. But it's just that Madrid capitalized on them better. I felt that the issues we've been facing, we missed most of our chances. Madrid didn't do that. When Hakimi made that error and just gifted it to Benzema, Benzema actually made that count, and he could have very well gone down for a penalty, and maybe Handanovic would have been sent off, but he stayed up and he scored. And with the second goal, I don't understand how you leave someone like Sergio Ramos alone during a set piece. I just don't get it because he's one of the most lethal headers of the ball. He scored so many headed goals, that famous Champions League equalizer, which took them to extra time. Like, how do you leave him alone? Like, those are rookie errors, and we paid for that. But when you look at the second half, a completely different Inter showed up here. Like, you could see the energy, and Barella, you can see that adapting in that trequartista role, that a beautiful flick for Lautaro. He kept going, and we actually forced them into errors. We capitalized on Varane making errors, and Perisic finally could convert something, that was good to see. And it's just that, again, it was then Conte's substitution. We saw that he waited so long. I would like to point something out interesting. Alexis started warming up like at around 55th minute in that match, but Zidane made all his subs by the time Conte made his first sub, like almost. Like, so I don't know what he was waiting for. And instead of, making the right subs, he ends up subbing Gagliardini in. We could see that he lost a bit of control. He started fouling Modric. So, and again, he left D'Ambrosio on the pitch. So what happens in the end? Zidane played it simple, I'll get Rodrigo and Vinicius in. And I remember in the previous podcast, both me and Manish had pointed out that they're so good with their pace. They will destroy D'Ambrosio. And that's exactly what Vinicius Jr. did. He just skipped past D'Ambrosio as if he wasn't there. So, yeah, I mean, that was a really disappointing one. I think even if we had got a draw from that game, that away game, that's 2 away goals. And we could see that game was there for the taking. I personally felt we had that one, I thought that third goal was coming for us had he made the substitutions at the right time. And in such games, yes, I know Eriksen doesn't do the running and all. But at this point, when players are exhausted, he can pick the right pass. His incisiveness, his eye for a pass, it's too good. So why not get the quality in when it is there on the bench, and games like these, he should be playing, not Gagliardini. How can you expect Gagliardini to perform, like play battle with Modric or Kroos? That's just unrealistic. They're proper intelligent players, and you have Gagliardini who just runs around as if he doesn't know what to do. So with that being said, keeping the home game in mind, Madrid have a key player missing, Federico Valverde. He was too good that day against us. He missed an easy goal chance, but he runs the midfield a lot, and he's not going to be there. So that is going to be a huge advantage for us, I feel, considering we don't have any injuries. But yeah, the home game is a must win. Like, there's no option left now, right? You have to win all the 3 games. You can't take a draw and rely on, Madrid beating Mönchengladbach and Shakhtar later. We did that last season with with Barcelona, with us relying on last season with Barcelona, us relying on Barcelona to beat Spurs, but that never happened. So we can't be dependent on other teams. That's not how it works in the Champions League. This is one game where we can take it. Federico Valverde won't be there. This is a chance we have to take. So I really hope Conte gives this a proper look. He looks into it. There's this whole international break. The Torino game, we should not be losing. Like, they're in shit form. Like, sorry to say that, but they're in pathetic form. If we draw points there, then I don't have hope for Real Madrid anymore then.
Manish, what do you feel? Like, how is it going in the Champions League? Like, we have to win everything. So, do you feel like we have it against Madrid at home, the next leg?
See, the performance against Real Madrid away, surprisingly, was quite good. Like Pam pointed out, both had equal amount of chances, and both seemed confused at first, like a lot of misplaced passing. So we were on par with Madrid. I wouldn't say like Madrid were much better than us or they outclassed us. No, at one point we were outclassing them playing in Madrid Stadium. I think like towards when the score was 2-2, it was definitely looking likely that we would get the winner. That many chances we had,
Yeah,
and just one.
Lautaro missed a chance then.
Yeah. So it was really unfortunate that we missed the chances. So taking that performance in mind, I really think we have chance in the return leg at San Siro. Taking just by that performance, because at the end of the match, Inter seemed really unhappy. And I was so impressed, like when Perisic scored the equalizer, he didn't go celebrate. He took the ball back into half because he knew the momentum was with us and we had to go for the third goal. It was pretty much like that. So we played a really good match. It was, again, really stupid individual errors. I think clearly Hakimi, that was a foul on Hakimi because that guy pushed him with 2 hands. And later on, the referees pointed out that's a mistake. That should have been called off. But, players like Benzema, they don't miss a 1-on-1. He is really good in 1-on-1. So that's no point hoping for him to miss. So that was clearly individual error. The second on Ramos, I think De Vrij just lost him. Ramos is such a tricky player. You give him an in space, he'll punish you. And he just, when the corner started, he just lost. De Vrij lost his man. De Vrij collided with, I think Casemiro it was. So that's credits to Ramos. That's no point saying we left him free. I think De Vrij, our best defender, was supposed to mark Ramos, but during the corner, he just lost him. So like that, individual errors cost us the match. If we won't have any chance of qualifying, we should stop making errors, and we have to, because performance was there, tactics was there, chances were created, everything was there. End result was stupid mistakes. Saying that, I'm really disappointed with Handanovic's performance. I think this has become, we've been talking too much about Eriksen, but I really think Handanovic this season has been really appalling. His performance, his passing, his positioning, his distribution, everything seems questionable. So I really think, we have to monitor his performance. This might be the last season for Handanovic. He's a captain. I understand, he's a very senior member in the squad. I respect that. But I think Handanovic's time is up. We need a new first choice keeper because over this last so far a couple of months in Syria, what we're seeing is all pretty much stupid chances. Like Atlanta, when they scored, I thought pretty much you could cover that. Handanovic was more
Mm,
towards the near
mm,
post. He was more towards the near post, and that guy shot such a weak shot towards the near post itself. I was just surprised. How could Handanovic not stop it? And I'm sure any other season they easily stopped it. So right now, no matter how many chances we create, if opposition shoots one shot and goal, it's going to go in. So the players, if Handanovic form continues like this, I think we should sub him, bring Radu, because so far I'm really disappointed with this performance. And if you have to qualify in the Champions League, I think everybody should step up, starting with Handanovic.
Yeah, and in the next Serie A game, would you be happy with just a 1-0 or do you expect like we have to win with like a clean sheet plus like 4-5 goals?
Saying that at this point, 3 points is all it matters. I don't care if it's 4-3, I don't care if it's 5-4 or care 1-0, because we need 3 points right now. Because right now, if we check the league, we are just 5 points away from the first place.
Yeah.
So the league is not over. Like many people say, AC Milan are getting the league. It's just begun. Juventus is just 1 point ahead of us. And we are just 5 points behind the first place. So the season can turn around. If we get one good result, the season automatically changes. And I think this break was needed, international break, because everybody seemed lost and Conte needed a breather. Players like Nainggolan and other players who haven't played much, they can regain their fitness. I'm also surprised with Sanchez, because whenever I've seen him this season, he's no more the same player what we saw last season. I feel he's more like an impact player, super sub. Sanchez, whenever he starts a game, I don't think he can score. He doesn't have that aggressiveness, I feel. If he comes last 20 minutes, yes, he's good, chasing down, giving killer passes. But if he starts the game, I don't think he has that much impact. So certain players really need to step up, starting with Handanovic and Sanchez. So we are playing Torino next after the break. I don't know what Conti, we need the 3 points no matter what. Others will seriously fall into a big crisis, I feel.
Parmeshwar, do you think this season will be like a reversal wherein we'll go on an unbeaten streak in December and Jan, and then by first week of Feb, suddenly we are top of the table again?
I think this season something like that maybe is possible because we see the errors, they're happening at such an early stage. There is time to iron them out. I know it's not easy to do such things, but there is time to evaluate things now. As Manish pointed out, the international break couldn't have come at a better time. There is time to evaluate all this. In previous seasons, all of this mainly has happened to us, like end of December, mainly January, February. It's like that curse, Jan Feb curse, as people say, and then we've dropped points, and it's too late to fix things by then. At this point, you can even dive into the market to fix a few things. By then it's too late. It's all over. You have to wait till the summer for a new season to start. So maybe who knows? Yeah, I mean, I really feel it's not over at all. Like there's a long way to go. It's now down to how we manage our players. Give the right players the enough game time. I really hope Nainggolan tomorrow puts. Even if it's a Serie B team, Monza. I really hope he does something to catch Conte's eye, because he's just been warming the bench. And whoever it is tomorrow, I just hope they do something that is like builds their confidence up, because it's been really low these past few weeks. The team is not in the right shape of mind, and yeah, let's see. I really feel that this time it's going to be the season is going to turn around in our favor eventually. Like past season, it's not been favorable to us, like this last season, the season before that. So yeah, so that's all I feel. Yeah.
So there you have it, folks. That is our this episode of Interclub India podcast. Please let us know in the comments, what do you think? What do we need to do to change things around to win, not win, but at least be on top of Serie A and follow through in the Champions League? And also, is Handanovic too old? Does he needs to be replaced? And what does Conte need to do to get the winning mentality back? Thanks a lot.